The Supreme Court again today slammed Arvind Kejriwal-led Delhi government for its response or lack of it to rising air pollution in Delhi, emphasizing the recurring nature of this issue. After last hearing, where the court even questioned the rationale of an odd-even scheme when the problem is primarily due to farm fires in Punjab this time of the year, Delhi government today also announced that it is shelving plans for the post-Diwali odd-even implementation for now. The Supreme Court today asked the question which each and every person living in the National Capital Region should and possibly will ask every politician. Why does the speed of action increase, if at all, only after courts intervene? Our courts are fundamentally having to do what politicians and governments must do when it comes to the air pollution issue. Things they will not do unless the court steps in. We'll take those questions to our guests in just a bit. But first up, take a look at the scathing observations made by the Supreme Court once again today while coming down heavily primarily on Delhi and Punjab governments, but they have reiterated their solutions are to be followed by all governments. Firstly, the court highlighted the fact that farm fires are still going on, they need to absolutely stop, and the AQI has to be improved. The Supreme Court also said that they don't want to look at reports and data alone. What they want to know about is what is the step on ground that state governments have taken. What are the measures that they have taken? Apex Court directed states to implement emergency measures as people cannot be made to die. This is clearly, as the Supreme Court has been pointing out, a matter of life and death for Delhiites. The court reminded though that its previous order also which contains certain directives is applicable to all states, not just to the state of Punjab. Of course, they made directives to states like Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan last time around too, but these are directives for all states, particularly on the issue of farm fires. The court has also asked states to use technology to examine the issue of farm fires, and they reiterated that there has to be a long-term plan or a relook at paddy cultivation. There have to be measures or incentives to decrease paddy cultivation over a period of time. Let's also tell you what the NGT, the National Green Tribunal, said. It came down heavily on the Punjab government once again, and here is what it has said. It asked the Punjab government, point us to one city where there's been improvement. Bhatinda continues to remain in poor category. These are the prevailing conditions in Punjab itself. They also went on to say that the report of the Punjab government and the satellite images are actually not matching. Cities in Punjab are engulfed in smoke. It's not just about that smoke travelling to places like Haryana and Delhi. The NGT importantly also went on to say, which even the court had talked about, that there has been some intervention possibly due to prayers of Delhiites, that it rained today, God came to your rescue, even God realized nothing is being done at your end. These are words coming in from these bodies. Now, why are these bodies or the court, for example, so upset? Because despite its clear orders last time that farm fires have to stop, farm fires continue, although that number has dropped. And this is why the question emerges, why the numbers drop suddenly after a rap from the courts? Why was Punjab government failing to curb farm fires to this extent before the court stepped in? So let me give you a picture of what the farm fire situation in Punjab and neighbouring Haryana has been, because these are the two states that are being compared politically. Now, from November 5 onwards, farm fires really rose in Punjab. In fact, November 5 was the highest season day of 3,230 farm fire incidences being reported. In comparison, Haryana was only 109. Now, since then, the number has come down to about 1,500 on November 7, but went back to about 2,000 on November 8. Even though, on the other side, Haryana has managed to bring that number down below the 100 mark and to some extent below the 50 mark as well. But this is where it gets interesting. After the last Supreme Court order on November 9, suddenly the farm fires dropped to 639 in Punjab. And in Haryana, they have continued to come down to 27. But Haryana had achieved that mark even earlier, 2 days before. So the question is this, why is this sudden drop happening only after a rap on the knuckles in Punjab? Why was the administration failing to do its job till then? Meanwhile, cab service company Uber has written to Delhi Lieutenant Governor on ban proposed on taxis from other states into the national capital. So Uber wrote that all 70,000 Uber cars across NCR run on clean fuel or electricity or electric cars. It highlighted that unlike private cars, Uber is not contributing to pollution as much. It doesn't run on petrol and diesel. And they claim that because of these curbs that the government is proposing, it will actually force people to move to their petrol and diesel vehicles, that is, their private vehicles instead. Now, Uber says that this is a highly unnecessary step. It is going to cause inconvenience to NCR residents. A lot of people, working people, travel to and from Delhi in cabs, actually. They don't have private vehicles. Uber also says that this cab ban is impractical. It may lead to mobility lockdown, and asked the Delhi government to take an all-encompassing view based on scientific proof. Now that the government has decided to scrap odd even, it is unclear if this suggested ban on non-Delhi cabs into the national capital will still be in place. We're waiting to hear on that. But the big question we're asking today is this: why is it that the top court or other courts are having to do the job that politicians and governments are refusing to do?
The surprise rains that has happened just before the Diwali, the AQI national capital has dropped to around the 100 mark, but it can be seen as a massive relief for the people out here in the national capital.
जो pollution जो है घुल गया है, तो सांस लेने में अच्छा लग रहा है।
जो बारिश हुई है रात को, उसके काफी AQI लेवल भी अच्छा हो गया, मौसम भी अच्छा है।
हम यहाँ पे आए इसलिए थे कि बारिश हो गई, एक तो मौसम बदल गया और पॉल्यूशन तो ऑलमोस्ट खत्म ही हो गया आज यहाँ पे।
Hello, Moto.
Let's go across to our guests joining us. Harish Khurana from the BJP, Siddharth Sharma from the Aam Aadmi Party join us. I'm also joined by Dr. Sanjeev Agarwal, former additional director of the CPCB, the Central Pollution Control Board, and Jay Gupta is founder, My Right to Breathe. I do thank you all for your time. Let me begin with my non-political panelists today. Jay, I want to begin with you. Why do you think governments are failing to really do what they should be able to do? For example, I pointed out there was a sudden dramatic drop of farm fires in Punjab a day after the court's orders. Why is it that this was not possible earlier?
Well, clearly, there's apathy towards anything related to health and the environment. If you look at the entire track record, both central and the state government, let's talk about AAP for a moment. 8-year runway with this problem of air pollution. In 2015, they were like, look, we acquired this problem. We don't have a clue. It's going to take us some time to come to grips. But, 8 years in, if you're telling me now that you have no data, you have no clue, and, you, as leadership, as the CEO of this state, you're just clueless and doing seat of the pant kind of measures at the last moment, you really need to step aside. I mean, these guys need to resign. This is a health and human crisis. This is a pandemic. This is a public health emergency. The way they are scrambling, trying to, do mechanical sweeping and trying to do these smog guns, these are not solutions to reverse air pollution. These are emergency measures. And I don't want to see emergency measures in my city. I don't want to reach an emergency in my city. And we are just, fed up. I mean, we are beyond frustration now because this is no way to live. This is pathetic. The cost of living in Delhi is very, very high. And this, the health cost of, living in Delhi is now becoming higher than the economic cost of living in Delhi.
Absolutely.
And I'm forced to become a pollution refugee year after year because I have bronchial asthma. My children have asthma. And this is not sustainable. We can't do this year after year.
Yeah,
and the
court also remarked today, why is it that the governments are wrapped around theory and data and reports and just wondering what should be done? By now, as you said, 8 years down the line, governments should have acted. There should have been some concrete plans.
I have seen Mr. Kejriwal with experts from Beijing in the same room. I have attended those meetings. Our government knows what needs to be done.
So what's the problem?
They don't want to do it. That's a different point. But what they're doing with us is, I mean, this is not a joke. We are talking about morbidity and mortality that is way beyond COVID. I mean, COVID is not even a patch of the kind of crisis we're dealing with in the northern part of India.
Okay.
And it's not just Delhi. I know Delhi gets the wrath of it, but it's everything from, Lahore to Dhaka and everything in between. It's not just Delhi, it's all of North India where there's a problem. There's a problem even in Srinagar for that matter. It's a valley and there's no way to exhaust the air and everybody burns over there to stay warm.
Okay.
So it's not just
I want to
Delhi.
go. No, I get your point. I get your point. But clearly, there is a crisis that evolves around late October and early November because of the season of the paddy cultivation and the change of seasons in crop cultivation. And year after year, we cannot face that situation, even though we know what the problem is, which compounds the otherwise year-round pollution and air quality problem that Delhi and other cities have. So let me go across to Dr. Sanjeev Agarwal also. As a former additional director of the CPCB, there's a lot of responsibility on a lot of these bodies as well. Why is it that these bodies, state governments, the national government or the national capital government, all of them are looking like they're failing? What's the problem here? Why can't they, if they know what the problem is, why can't they execute certain solutions?
Yeah, actually, first of all, I would like to mention that why we are talking about that fires, that fires last day, something like 3,000 and then today is 2,000, something like that. So you see, first we need to understand the scientific phenomena. The airshed is a highly dynamic situation there. So whatever the pollutants are coming out from various sources, they merge together and then finally they form the peroxyacetyl nitrate. This is basically harmful to the human being, and this is forming only in the case when the situation become very worse. Means hydrocarbons are coming out from the pollutants and other things are coming out like nitrogen dioxide and then sulfur dioxide and also the formation of ozone. So I think these things creating a panic to the public also, and it is true.
No, but Mr. Agarwal, with due respect, can I just step in? The public is not supposed to be concerned with the scientific phenomena. The public doesn't need to understand the nitty-gritty of why this is happening. This is why we elect governments, and this is why we have the bodies like the Pollution Control Board or the NGT or the CAQM, etc. My fundamental question is, as a citizen and as the court also seemed to say today, why is it that we are just being told reports and data? Just do what needs to be done on the ground.
Yes, whatever that agencies are there, those who are involved, actually they are not reacting very fast and they are not acting very fast. They are not taking action what they are supposed to take, and basically they are just behind the politicians. So I think this should be stopped. We should not play the blame game. Blame game is not the time today. I think we should. We are working for so many years, and then still we are talking about the same thing, and we are not doing anything. So the actions.
So what do you think is the fundamental problem here? As someone who's worked with the CPCB, what is the problem? Why are these agencies or governments failing to deliver, sir? Is it because of politics?
At local level, the implementing agency at local level should act very fast. Basically, they are not doing their job what they are supposed to do.
Okay.
This is the main
so
thing.
You are saying they're apathetic to the situation, despite the fact that a lot of these people live in the national capital region themselves, their families, and they themselves would be suffering the same air.
But there's a thing.
Yes, sir.
I just want to mention one thing, that now this is the situation where we have to think about more than emergency situation.
Yeah, that time has come and gone.
The court has suggested. Yeah. We have to think more than an emergency situation. This is basically that the situation comes on the top level. Grade 4 we have applied. So there is nothing of grade 4. So I think we have to think more on that.
That's precisely the frustration, sir, that people are dealing with, that this should be done in the run-up to this season. All the sensitization, all the ground-level preparation in states where farm fires are high should be done before we get to this season. We know the wind patterns, we know the crop cultivation patterns. Yes, all of that is fine, but fundamentally, somebody has to act. Let me take that question to Siddharth Sharma also. I ran that data earlier. Siddharth, that data is running. Suddenly from 3,000, 2,000, a day after a rap on the knuckles by the Supreme Court, farm fires come down to under 650. Can you explain this to me? Can you explain to the public how suddenly you were able to control farm fires much better in Punjab?
Yes, rains. There are certain days in November also when it rains. For example, if today it is raining.
There was
today
no
in
rain
Delhi.
yesterday.
There was
in
no
Punjab.
rain yesterday. This is yesterday's data, November 9, not today's.
Don't lie.
Let me-
Your entire strategy is based on lies. This is not going to work.
If you have asked me to reply, just let me reply. Let your viewers discretion.
Okay, go ahead. Mr. Jay, I'll come back to you. Let Siddharth finish.
Everybody else, two people before me spoke. When whoever has spoken, he has spoken. I think the viewers are discreet enough to understand whether I'm speaking sense or not. Two things. One is whenever there are rains, there are less farm fires. Number two, point number two.
But was there rain yesterday in Punjab?
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I'm coming to that. That's
then-
what I'm saying. Shivani, if you have asked me to speak,
But
let
sir,
me complete
your
the sentence.
explanation
Let me
cannot
complete
be
the
rains
sentence.
when there wasn't rains.
If you intervene mid-sentence, how am I going to complete?
Okay, finish your sentence.
Yeah, the second thing is that it's a fact that the farm fires are coming down because the season is ending. As of today, the cumulative farm fires in Punjab is less than 24,000. As of today, last year, it was more than 37,000. There has been a 37% drop as according to the PRS, the Punjab remote sensing data. That is a fact. So the farm fires are going to come down, not just in Punjab, but Haryana or other states also.
Can I come in now? Can I come in now? Can I take it one by
please.
one?
Now
So
you
you're
can,
saying
because
one
I
by
gave
one.
you
I'll give you
context.
more time. Siddharth ji, I'll give you more time. One by one. So you're actually accepting that this drop in Punjab from 2,000 to 600 is actually not because of your efforts. It's because the season is coming to an end and because of these rains that you're talking about. It's not because of the Punjab government's efforts.
Did I say that, or are you putting
I don't
words
know.
into
You
my
didn't give
mouth?
your implementation as a reason
You did
why it
not
has
let
come
me-
down.
You did not let me complete.
No,
You
I
did
let
not
you
let me
complete that point.
No, if you're not letting me complete and cutting me midway and putting words in my mouth, then it is up to you.
So I repeat my question. Why
Yeah,
was
you
there a
asked me
sudden
question
drop?
and-
I repeat my
No,
question,
you ask me
Siddharth.
a question and give me a time frame.
I'll
5
give you
seconds,
time.
10 seconds,
Why
15
was
seconds.
there
I'll
a
speak in
sudden
that-
drop?
Within that.
Siddharth ji, calm down. Why was there a sudden drop from 2,000 to 600 farm fires in Punjab from November 8 to November 9?
How many seconds do I have to answer?
30 seconds, sir.
Yeah, the farm fires in Punjab are coming down because of the simple reason that they have been coming down since Bhagwant Mann government has come into power. It is there is a 36% drop. There are debates that it might even be as large as 56%, but let us agree to a 36% drop. That is happening because of biodecomposers and alternative seeds being provided by the Punjab government, because the long gestation paddy crop called Pusa 44 was banned, and that is why because Pusa 44 is not being used, paddy is harvested early. A lot of farmers do not need to burn parali, and that is why the food security provider of India, the farmer of Punjab, is able to burn less parali, around 38%, 36%, and contribute to nation building. It's as simple as that.
All right. I didn't get the answer of why the drop happened between November 8 and November 9. You've given me a seasonal breakdown, and actually the season to season numbers will be compared at the end of the season. Right now it's almost 24,000 as far as the seasonal fire in Punjab is concerned. Last year and the year before that it was 28 to 29,000. So I don't think you can talk about this seasonal drop in the percentages that you're talking about.
90%, because 90% of the paddy harvesting in Punjab is over, just like in Haryana.
So you again bring me to the point, and I'll go across to Harish Khurana, that actually the season is almost coming to an end, so Delhiites can breathe easy. But they were not being able to stop those farm fires reaching 3,000, 2,000 when the season was high. That's the question I asked. How did they suddenly drop a day after Supreme Court's orders?
When Shiromani Akali Dal and BJP government was in power, on this same day 56,000 farm fires were there in Punjab. And today there are 23,000. That is what the improvement Aam Aadmi Party's Bhagwant
I'll compare season to season, sir, when the season is over. I think we're being premature about season to season comparison, but I take your word. Let Harish Khurana respond.
Shivani, this particular government of Delhi, especially led by Arvind Kejriwal, is a visionless government. As we are seeing, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson don't have a vision and don't have an answer of your question. What you have asked?
Sir, what is your data, sir? What is your data? Shivani was asking me regarding data and asking you regarding political statement. Don't give a political statement.
I'm asking you one second. Siddharthji, you're getting a little bit too rattled. I'm not sure why you're being so angry at people who are only asking questions about the government that is in power in Punjab. If you were not in power in Punjab, you would not be facing these questions.
Asking Aam Aadmi Party for data and letting the BJP spokesperson give a political response.
No, sir, you're being asked about data. Siddharthji, please calm down. You've been shouting at me for 5 minutes straight.
No, I'm not shouting out. I'm not shouting.
Please calm down. Jay, one second. Listen, you're the government in Punjab. You will be asked about the data from Punjab. I am not the only one doing it. Even courts are doing it. Harish Khurana will be asked a question about the central. Siddharthji, can you please? Siddharth Sharma, please. Don't tell me how to do my job. Because you clearly don't like it in governments to be told how to do your job. Even though you're responsible to crores of people. So don't. I am not going to take this tone. I'm being very respectful to you. You need to calm down. You need to stop shouting at me.
I'm not shouting. You invited me to your program.
Sir, I invite you every day and I love having you on my program. But you need to calm down. You need to calm down. You got your time. Let me please proceed.
Can I put the fader down?
Sir, I am not interested in your judgment of the anchoring. I'm sorry. That's a route taken when you can't answer my questions. I'm sorry.
I've answered all your questions.
I gave you time for that. I gave you time for that. Harish Khurana, please respond. They have said that your governments had failed and year on year there has been an improvement.
Can I come in now and without interrupting? I am expecting without interruption of Aam Aadmi Party now. He wants the data. He's saying that 37% has come down. But what about the comparison what you are giving? That Haryana mein parali hai, but Delhi, Punjab mein nahi hai. What is the data what you have given, Shivani? Is 93% of the total cases which are coming in from 15th September till 8th of November. 93% of the stubble burning are coming from alone from Punjab only. 22,961 cases from Punjab have come in comparison to 1,648 cases.
That's also because paddy cultivation is higher in Punjab. That's what they're saying.
Ma'am, the reason is whatever they want to give it, their convenience. But what do you remember 2 years back, this Arvind Kejriwal only blaming Amrinder Singh at that point of time that Punjab se parali aati hai. That is the only reason of Delhi pollution. Now, they are not talking at all of Punjab. We all know that in October, November, December, these kind of things happen. We all know that three eminent things. One is vehicle emission, one is stubble burning, and in one is dust particles. Are more than 60% of the pollution is coming from that area.
But Harish Khurana, listen, the courts are also talking about some long-term visions.
Shivani,
Harish ji, one second. The courts are also talking about some long-term visions. I want to come to that question in just a bit. But there is a responsibility of the central agencies which the Aam Aadmi Party has repeatedly talked about. It cannot be a one person or a one government job in a city like Delhi at least. Punjab you leave aside. Yes, Punjab, the government alone is responsible for farm fires. They cannot shift the blame on that. But what about Delhi situation?
I'll come on to that. I'm talking about North India, total what the central government is doing it. 3,333 crore rupees have been given to Haryana, Punjab and Delhi-NCR for stopping the stubble burning and giving 1,23,000 CRM machines to Punjab, 80,000 to Haryana. Point is, when 80,000 machines have been given to Haryana, stubble burning can be stopped. Why not Punjab? Point number one. Point number two, if you talk about Delhi infrastructure, if you talk about Ghazipur to Meerut, who has built it? Center has built it. eastern western peripheral. Because of that, 60,000 odd trucks are not coming to Delhi and helping to reduce the pollution. Who has done it? Center has done it. If you talk about Dhola Kuan expressway, where a lot of jam used to take place and pollution was at the peak, who has done it?
Okay,
Center has done
can
it.
I come in? You're talking about primarily vehicular pollution, which is an important aspect. But in my previous discussions, the Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi has talked about, for example, that they're surrounded by BJP-led states, and those states are not doing enough, and that pollution travels to the national capital region as well.
Shivani, the problem is with Aam Aadmi Party, they is always in a denial mode. I mean, they do always a topi transfer. They are not what we're talking today is, and I agree with, I mean, these my expert people will also agree on that. More than 60% of these vehicle, I mean, this problem comes from these three things, ma'am: stubble burning, vehicle emission, and dust particles. Since last 7 years, we're listening कि mechanical sweeping आएगी. What has happened to that? Nothing. For encouraging public transport, we need buses. Since last 12 years, not even a single bus has been purchased by DTC. 700 buses have been given, electrical buses have been given by central government to Delhi. But what about Delhi government? They have not purchased a single DTC bus. Problem is this, and
Siddharth, you want to respond to that? It's been many years that the promise of 1,000 electric buses has been made. When are we going to see those buses?
800 buses already are on the road. For example, Delhi government has a grab policy. Delhi government has a winter action plan. Delhi government comes up with 24/7 electricity, which makes sure that diesel generator sets are not burnt. Delhi government has 2.2 lakh electric vehicles in Delhi. How many of them are there in Noida? I think we have to go back to what Supreme Court has said in its observation 2 days ago, that this can be solved through cooperative federalism. I think today's newspaper, I was reading the Hindu newspaper today, which said about what happened in the yesterday's cabinet secretaries meeting. It's very strange that although the Supreme Court said that cabinet secretaries, the central government has to call in cabinet secretaries from Rajasthan and UP also, there is absolutely no mention what they said. The Supreme Court also said that isn't it necessary that the Punjab farmers need to be given 50% compensation from the union government, that is the Modi government, and it is also
the court has very clearly said today. No, the court has very clearly said today, when they talk about decrease in paddy cultivation, it's a long-term thing. They have not talked about it happening immediately or even this year, and that is a long-term solution, and that is something that all governments should look at. Jay has been wanting to come in. Yes, Jaydhar.
Look, Shivani, I don't want to hear about a winter action plan. I mean, this is like us being in denial, and it tells me that these guys don't have a clue. This is a 365-day problem. These guys are a joke. And have you seen the pollution? We are going to keep getting further and further behind. We are already losing the battle, and we are going to keep getting further and further behind. Let's talk about the base load of Delhi. From vehicular emissions, from solid waste management, we don't have any solid waste management, okay? From biomass burning, because the poor people still light their chulas using biomass. Biomass burns everywhere, okay, because of poverty. Why are we not addressing these issues? The winter action plan is a joke.
I also don't understand. If there's a winter action plan, how does the winter action plan does not include action on farm fires, when that is the 30 to 40% contributor to Delhi's air today?
Even in the monsoon time, when we have the best air, our AQI is 100. I don't want a winter action plan.
Not comparable to what it should be.
I want AQI under 25.
Yeah, I get your point, Jaydhar.
It's not worth it to live in this city.
Dr. Sanjeev Agarwal, I want to come on the larger point of this whole paddy cultivation issue. The AAP government is saying that, we've done our bit on ground, different seeds are being used, the window has been changed a little bit, and that has all made a difference. I haven't seen any broad-based use of the fertilizer they talk about in Punjab. We've been on ground and we've been doing a lot of reports. All you see is farm stubble fires, not so much some of the other things being used. Some of the machines we have seen in action on ground though. But what do you think can be done as far as this greater problem of paddy cultivation that the courts keep talking about?
Actually, the first thing is that we should take care about that. We should stop immediately the burning first. How? Basically, we have to move it through some kind of andolan. All farmers should be asked together, and they should stop it burning first. government of India already given lot of money for the use of that paddy, and they are basically in the process. But I don't see much any kind of machines which are provided by the funds provided by the central government as well as state government. So this is the first thing. Second thing is that whatever the pollution is coming out from these farm fires is basically a seasonal phenomena. It is not a daily. So
Yeah,
why
okay.
why this is happening only in winter? Because the smoke is coming out from there from the long distance,
And the wind is
and then
settling
they
in the
form
national capital.
together, as I mentioned.
Okay. Yes,
Sorry.
Jay, I've got limited time. I can give you maybe 20 seconds.
I just want to say this
Yeah.
is a very.
Okay. So I think
We
they
need to
they should
change the crop mix in Punjab. The other
whatever
thing
the direction
that
has
needs
been
to
given
be.
by the Commission for Air Quality Management, they should go for that.
Okay. Yes, Jay, finish, please.
So one, we need to change the crop mix in Punjab. You've
Yes.
incentivized the growth of paddy, which was never a native crop to Punjab. Two, I think we need to examine what variety of paddy is being grown in Punjab, because I have land in Uttarakhand and my guys want this paddy residue for their cattle. I mean, they say it keeps the cattle warm in the winter time, peak winter time. So why is it that the residue in Punjab has such high silica and it cannot be used for cattle or anything else?
Okay.
I think this needs to be examined.
Yeah,
What are
it's
the
also the window of the next crop, which is so short. That is also what creates the problem, where they don't have time enough to, remove the stubble manually, which was otherwise happening. This is a complex problem. We'll keep taking this on. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. But certainly, the courts reminding governments of what they need to do and need to do before the problem becomes what it is. Time for a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you our Cricket World Cup, Kings of Cricket special. India's performance through the World Cup has been phenomenal. Up next are the knockout stages. Can they continue is the question.
Hello, Moto.
Co-powered by
Destruction, death and destruction.
US President Joe Biden says he's seeking a longer halt of 3 days to help secure the release of hostages held by Hamas.
We're hopeful. Things are moving along.
Israel unleashed its assault on Gaza in response to a cross-border raid by Hamas gunmen, who killed 1,400 people, mostly civilians, as well as kidnapping about 240. But the plight of Palestinians trapped in the besieged enclave has stoked global calls for a ceasefire, which is rejected by Israel and its main ally, the United States. Palestinian officials said more than 10,800 Gaza residents had been killed as of Thursday, about 40% of them children. At a humanitarian conference in Paris on Thursday, officials from about 80 countries and organisations were trying to coordinate a response. Jan Egeland heads the Norwegian Refugee Council.
We cannot wait a minute more for a humanitarian ceasefire across Gaza for all of the civilian population there. And we cannot wait a minute more for a lifting of the siege, which is collective punishment of 1 million children.
نار لهيب. والناس من جوا بعدين بتصور. خروجي صعب انه يمثلني وانا في بلدي قاعد. هيا خلينا تنزل. يلا. حطوه طيب شمرة في وجهه.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us on our special presentation for the World Cup Kings of Cricket. I'm Shivani Gupta, and joining me is our World Cup panel. Graham Swan, Murli Karthik, Ayaz Memon will all be with us as we look forward to the last India group stage match, their performances so far, and of course, what's coming up or what's in store in the knockouts with the semi-finals up. First up, Team India are table toppers of the group stage in this ODI World Cup 2023, and they've had a stupendous run. The men in blue have reached their 8th semi-final in this format of the World Cup, equaling New Zealand and just behind Australia. Indian bowlers as well as batters have been in sublime form, and the unit is performing like a well-oiled machine. There are, frankly, no chinks in the armor that have been exposed so far. In fact, every time the Indian team was challenged, they've come up trumps and in flying colors. So first up, let's take a recap of the Indian performance so far.
What a run it's been for Team India. Rohit Sharma and company have won every match in the group stage and will be aiming to continue the same in the knockout stages as well. The men in blue are the table toppers and were the first team in the 2023 ODI World Cup to qualify for the semi-finals. The opener versus Australia was one to remember. The Kangaroos lost all of their wickets at 199 runs, and Indian bowlers were praised by everyone. It wasn't an easy chase for India. The men in blue lost 3 batters at a very early stage, but Virat Kohli and KL Rahul's heroics saved the day for Team India. Next was Afghanistan. Rohit Sharma was unstoppable as he scored a superb century. After this match, Captain Rohit broke a barrage of records and cemented his name in the history books. But now it was time for a bigger challenge. It was time to face the dark horse, Pakistan. Even in this match, Pakistan's batters had no answer to Indian bowlers, and they just managed to score 191 runs. The match versus Bangladesh will always be remembered for Virat Kohli's extraordinary performance. King Kohli scored a century, and now he was just one step away from levelling Sachin's 49 centuries in ODIs. Then came the battle of invincibles, India versus New Zealand. Team India had failed to register a victory against the Kiwis in 20 years, but this time they broke the jinx and crushed the Black Caps by 4 wickets. Nobody expected this, but the next 3 matches were like a cakewalk for India. In these 3 matches, India batted first and managed to give a defendable target for their opponents. Take a look at the results yourself. India won by 100 runs against England, by 302 runs against Sri Lanka, and by 243 runs against South Africa. Surely the bowling unit of all the other teams wanted to have what Indian bowlers were having. Now the men in blue are the favourites to win the World Cup. 1 billion people at home are also praying that India continues to destroy their opponents and wins the prestigious trophy for the 3rd time.
And joining me now is our World Cup panel, Graham, Karthik, Ayaz. Thanks a lot for joining us. Karthik, let me begin with you about the Indian performance. What has impressed you the most? Or if at all, there are any worries for you as we, look forward to the knockout stage?
So I'll start with the second question first. The only worry for me is that this is the time when actually the games or the World Cup starts for us. And the reason why I say that is in the last few years, or every time we've been in a World Cup competition or an ICC event, it's the semi-final where we have suddenly started playing slightly frigid cricket. You take the the WTC finals, be it selection calls or the way you approach the game, after having bossed other games, to suddenly come to a certain game and think that, oh, now we are in this, how do we go about it? The selection calls, as I said, and slightly tepid cricket is what we have played. So we need to guard against that. What has impressed me the most? The first thing is everybody is in form. And as you rightly mentioned, every time we have been in some sort of hot water or some sort of a sticky situation, somebody has been there to bail us out. Not that we have needed it too often. And the most important thing is that we have fielded really well. Barring one game, our fielding has been outstanding, so much so that everyone is talking about our fielding unit as being the best in the world. So it's heartening to see the bowlers, everyone, all of them firing together. It's not that one has to get wickets, but all of them have been bowling beautifully. So you can't ask for more. As I said, it's about guarding against complacency, and secondly, let's not play frigid cricket anymore.
Graham, I'm wondering what the discussion is going to be amongst the dressing rooms that have played against India, almost everyone barring the Netherlands, and those who can face India next, for the knockouts, the likes of Australia, the likes of South Africa, the likes of New Zealand, because all of these teams did struggle against India. So what is it, if there is anything that anyone can do differently when they face India next?
Absolutely. The best thing that India have done throughout this tournament is absolutely destroy these teams. Even against Australia, when they showed, 3 early wickets, and any other team in the world you'd think would panic and then crumble. They then cruised and won the game against arguably the best team attack in world cricket. So each time that India have come up against one of the supposedly stronger teams in the tournament, they've absolutely wiped the floor with them. And that does have an effect on the losing change room. You get to the point where you think, well, how can we beat these? We need a lot of these guys to have an off day at the same time. And I'm absolutely with Murali Kartik. If you get to the semi-finals and change the way you play India, that is when you can come unstuck. All teams are fearing India at the minute because of the dynamic, aggressive, proactive form of cricket they're playing. If they then suddenly try and go a little bit safety first, let's just cover a few bases, let's not take too many risks, that's when you let other teams in. That's what the other teams are desperately hoping for. I can't actually see this Indian team doing that. I think in the past, there's always been one or two places, one or two spots in the batting order, or one bowler who's not quite performing as well as the others. This Indian team, from 1 to 11, they're all absolutely on top of their game. That means that there's no need for the selectors to play tepid cricket, to make slightly defensive decisions. So I just think as an opposition, the last team you want to play at the minute with the home advantage and the form they've got is the Indian side. You're hoping to sneak into the final the other way and then just hope, I don't know, that 3 of them don't set their alarm clocks and they're all timed out. The bus driver gets lost and you get given the cut by default.
Actually, Graham, you touched upon a very interesting point. I want to take that forward with Ayaz as well, because as journalists, how many times have we been talking and writing about how disappointing it's been when India gets to the knockouts and then, suddenly we don't look that good anymore. But could this team be in danger of that? Or as Graham says, this team is looking different, even than the others who looked very good till the knockout stages.
Shivani, on the evidence of what we've seen of India in the last 8 matches, I think I would go with what Swani said, that there just doesn't seem to be any chink in the armor. We've lost in 2015 and 2019 in the semi-finals. There was a stumble in both games. We lost it in half an hour of batting against New Zealand. We lost 3 wickets and the match was gone. So too in 2015. The bowlers did extremely well in both tournaments. Both tournaments, the batting let us down. Now, stumbles can happen. This is, after all, sport. There's pressure. There's, human frailties and so on and so forth. But they played flawless cricket as of now. Against Australia, 3 wickets down for 2 runs, you go out and win that match. And then after that, a succession of victories, each getting better than the other.
Yes.
So it doesn't seem to me that you need to peak from here or you need to plateau. I just think that they need to play as they've been doing. They found a game plan to fight back in every match whenever there's been a crisis.
What about that law of averages that everybody keeps fearing in sports?
No, if we want to be a cynic, we can be a cynic till kingdom comes home. I think the most important thing, and I have been quoting the Australia of 2003, they never thought about these things. Or the Australian team of that, or those 4-5 years, they never thought about losing. They didn't even, I don't think that even stemmed into their brains that they can ever lose. And you think of 2003, India lost to Australia, and that's about it. Australia didn't lose to anybody in South Africa. So you can be a dominant force, but for me, again, it comes down to because of what we have seen recently. It's about it's a sort of a leaderboard syndrome. In golf, there's something called a leaderboard syndrome, that you're on top of the leaderboard, and suddenly you think, oh, I need to play because I'm doing better than others, and you suddenly go frigid, and then you come down the leaderboard. I just hope and pray that India doesn't go through that, because we've seen that WTC twice against Australia this year at the Oval, at Southampton against New Zealand, the kind of things which we did, and suddenly you're thinking, is this the best test team in the world? And even in ICC competitions, you reach a stage and then suddenly India is doing things which we have not seen them do. You've bossed the tournament and suddenly you behave like, oh, you're trying to be one of the also-rans. So that is something which you want to guard against as the Indian team.
I don't think this team is suffering from that mindset, though.
I hope so.
Although in sports, of course, as all of us know, anything is possible. Now, although India is already into the semi-finals and they will end as table toppers regardless of what happens, they will like to keep this run going in their final group stage match, which is versus the Netherlands on Sunday. Team India, as I said, is hoping to remain unbeaten before the knockouts. Netherlands are hoping not to finish at the bottom of the table with a third win for them. They had earlier beaten South Africa and Bangladesh. In this match, there is a possibility that Rohit Sharma could look to rest the likes of Jasprit Bumrah, for example, bring in Prasidh Krishna, who came in for an injured Hardik Pandya into the squad. They could even blood in Ishan Kishan, Shardul Thakur, maybe bench a few of the regular players. So that match, which is India's final group stage match, the final group stage match of the World Cup, is India versus Netherlands at the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore. Swani, do you think at this stage, when you're looking to maintain, your run and everything else, would the Indian team bother to rest because of the fear that they could maybe just suddenly lose their momentum?
He might. I would warn against that completely. I think as a player within a team, I wouldn't want to be the bowler who's rested for a game just in case somebody gets injured down the road. I would cross that bridge when I get to it. If you suddenly get to the final and a bowler pulls up injured, you back the fact that the guy who's in waiting has been training hard and he's ready to go. You hope that never happens. And I think to actually throw someone in to give him a bowl, the guy who misses out, suddenly he's a game behind and he's got to catch up again. I don't like it at all. I think if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. Yes. You keep that winning team on the park. You keep them winning their games. You keep the momentum. And I mean, it's the snowball effect. The momentum that the Indian team have got right now, I mean, it's going to wipe out the village at the bottom of the mountain. It's that strong. So keep it going, keep it rolling.
Yeah, as you agree with that, don't make any changes. No need to try anything out of the ordinary, anything different. What's working for you is working for you. Just don't touch it right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, there's no question now of work overload and stuff like that, because you're just about 3 matches away from winning the title. And yes, this is Netherlands and this is a weaker opposition. You don't have to fight and scrape and scramble for getting a place in the semis. It's already yours. But this is where you want the team to gel even better. What I would say is that, it's just a confidence booster. If you're a Shami or a Siraj, and here we're talking more about the bowlers. When it comes to resting players, it's always about the bowlers, it's not about the batsmen for some reason. So I think that, there's no need to rest anybody, not even Jasprit Bumrah, though he's come back from injury and stuff like that. This is a team which is now primed in a sense to win. They can only beat themselves with a full. That's the way I see it.
Overall, as far as the match itself is concerned, Karthik, any thoughts on what kind of a challenge the Netherlands could pose for India? Of course, they're known as the giant killers. They've done great credit to their cricket and to their country. But this is going to be a tough one for them, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. As Swani rightly mentioned, the kind of effect which India have had on world cricket at the moment, everybody looking at this World Cup, everybody is in awe of the way India have played, literally decimated the opposition. So from India's point of view, again, it's that, do you want to take your eye off the ball? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure everybody is well rested. It's a long tournament. There are enough gaps. And I'm pretty sure me and Ayaz are willing to put our hand up if anybody needs an extra masseur for the bowling lineup. We are willing to come and do the massage work for them. Both hands, and we are good at it. So I don't think that is something which is required. So yeah, the only thing is, will India want to take their eye off the ball? I don't think they would want to. It's a slate which you want to remain very, very clean, and going into the semi-finals, by the looks of it, it seems that it's going to be New Zealand once again. And again, New Zealand were the ones which got India out of the 2019 World Cup. So it'll be interesting. I don't think so. Netherlands should pose any challenge, Shivani.
Yeah. Well, we'll move forward to the semi-finals now. As Karthik mentioned, New Zealand have all but booked their place in the semi-final, which will be against India. They had a dominant 5-wicket win with 160 balls to spare against Sri Lanka. That result took them to 10 points with a net run rate of 0.743 and leaving Pakistan needing to beat England by almost 300 runs if they are to surpass New Zealand's net run rate. That New Zealand performance was also the product of an all-round performance with bat and ball. Despite the loss of late wickets, Sri Lanka's total of 171 was comfortably dealt with. Devon Conway, Rachin Ravindra, Daryl Mitchell all pitched in with 40s. And earlier it was the Kiwi bowlers that shared the wickets amongst them. But it was Trent Bowles, 3 for 37, which was the defining performance that put his side on top and earned him the player of the match as well. So this is the equation as it stands. Pakistan and England play their final group match on Saturday. England is looking to play for pride, while Pakistan have a near impossible equation to qualify. As I said, they either need to beat England by 300 plus runs or win in just about 20 balls if they were chasing. Other than that, the semi-finals look like this. It's India versus New Zealand at the Wankhede, the first one, and South Africa, Australia in the second one, which will be played at the Eden Gardens. So, Swani, is England up for the challenge against Pakistan?
We are on a roll now, I tell you this. We've beaten the Dutch, we've beaten Holland, and now we're flying. We're not going to finish bottom of this group. You know, let's face it, they are the semi-finals. We all know that, barring a miracle. You know, Pakistan, having said that, actually, of all teams in the world who could suddenly win a game by 300 runs, Pakistan are that team. We all know that. I can't see it happening in this trip. I actually feel for Pakistan a bit. I think they've got a very good team. They're very close to being one of those top 4 teams. But they just they hit the skids, didn't they, in this tournament and didn't recover in time.
Don't forget the fact. No, but Swani, don't forget the fact that they were even in contention for the semis because they beat New Zealand after they scored 400 runs on Duckworth-Lewis. So I think they already had their luck to even be in contention.
Okay, well, I'll take that. But I think what we've ended up with are the 4 best teams in the semi-final. I don't think anyone can argue with that. I think India will be. I don't know if India will be happy with New Zealand in the semi-final, or the ghosts of the past will haunt them a little bit, and they'll worry about that. But I think whoever they play in the final, I'm backing India to beat New Zealand in a semi-final and end up. And I know full well it's going to be Australia because I don't want it to be Australia. No Englishman wants to see Australia in the World Cup final. But, you know, they beat Afghanistan in a game where no other team in the world would win that game. And Glenn Maxwell single-handedly won the game. So it's going to be those top 4 teams. And I think on reflection of the whole World Cup, it's a very fair reflection. Australia started terribly the first couple of games, but have been excellent ever since. South Africa, they've had that slip-up against the Netherlands, and then they were soundly beaten by India. So, India should still feel very happy with the position they're in, even though, as the guys have said so far, the knockout stages, it suddenly form goes out the window and it's all about on the day. That brings its own challenges, but I think this Indian team is more than up to it.
You know, interestingly, Ayaz, there is another way to look at these, who India would have liked to face. I think New Zealand, despite the fact that they had a bit of a New Zealand Kiwi monkey on their back, which they would claim that by beating them in the group stage comprehensively, I think India's got that monkey off their back, but that's the group stage. Knockouts are always different. But you look at the other teams, Australia, I don't think any team wants to come up against Australia right now. If it has to be, then it better be, the finals. And even South Africa, while India really pummeled them, it is still possibly not the team they would like to face in the semi-finals. Out of these 3, I think India would be happy that they're playing New Zealand.
Yes, I mean, look, now, of course, there's no choice. They have to play New Zealand. But I think that, there's a lot of similarities between the 2 teams. If you look at it, the way the top order has been working for them, so too has, South Africa's, but not to the extent, the consistency you find in New Zealand. Even Australia's top order has been struggling a bit. You take away a Warner occasionally who's been failing, and then there's Labuschagne and Smith and Josh English, who they're not getting the runs as consistently. But here you've got Rachin Ravindra, there's also Williamson has come back, and they've got Daryl Mitchell. They bat very deep. They're very much like India in that sense. They've got spinners who are coming good, especially Mitchell Santner. And they've got fast bowlers who are very familiar with Indian conditions and Indian batsmen, extremely familiar. Because even Mitchell Stark is not as familiar because he's not been playing IPL consistently in the past 4, 5, 6 years. But Trent Bolt and Tim Southee and some of the others, they've always been here. So I think that this is a good matchup. Last time when they met, New Zealand seemed to run out of steam. You know, they looked good to make 325, 330, 340. They fizzled out and made it a little easier for India. That is something that they will be bearing in mind, that we can't allow ourselves to fizzle out. And India should bear in mind that this team is capable of getting 325, 330. So you have to pull them down, pull them back. That's the way I would put it.
Karthik, your thoughts on the lips backing semi-finals we seem to have lined up for ourselves?
Look, everybody's going to pose different challenges, and you're extremely right, Shivani. The way Australia have kick-started their campaign after those initial 2 games has been phenomenal. Actually, they are the team in form. South Africa, obviously, they've had a few hiccups. New Zealand is very interesting because they've had their ups and downs, but they always seem to punch really strongly together. And their batting is extremely mouth-watering. When you look at it, I'm very impressed by the way Rachin Ravindra is batting. We saw him when he came for the 2 Test match series, but just the way he's flourished in this tournament in the company of Devon Conway and Daryl Mitchell is a delight to watch. Kane Williamson obviously is going to be that hub around whom everybody is going to work. And they've got an interesting ball. Their spinners are good. Mitchell Santner has been bowling beautifully. When you think of all the finger spinners in world cricket now, he's possibly the best the way he's bowling for me personally in any conditions, any situation. So it's not an easy semi-final for any of them. South Africa, Australia is as mouth-watering as it gets. Again, South Africa have a different monkey to throw off their back because they've been called chokers after reaching semi-finals. India have actually had an issue with New Zealand and the last 2 semi-finals. So it's going to be interesting. And look, Australia have got this funny knack of winning. You think of 2015, maybe they were playing at home, but were they the best side? There were other teams who were playing better cricket, but they still won. So they've got this funny knack of winning these world titles. So it'll be interesting, mouth-watering again for me. And I don't think India, just because they won against New Zealand, they can say that, oh, we've got the monkey of the back. They're pretty sure that at the back of their heads, they'll be thinking, oh, we have come up cropper against this side and they're up against us again in the semi-finals.
All right. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. We will, of course, here on CNN News 18 on Kings of Cricket build up to the semi-finals. So you can continue to watch out for that coverage. But for today, thanks a lot for joining us.
Co-presented by
ما شاء الله بالفنجة ولا يهمك عاد كلنا اولادك ها نعم ولا يهمك كلنا اولادك كانت الدنيا بخير جننتنا الحج معايا تعال يلا شفت الوطن ايش بده؟ شفت الوطن ايش بده؟
Viewers, the opposition India alliance never tires of telling us all that it is supremely committed to secularism. If it is telling us the truth, why then is the Congress-led alliance using more than 6 crores of sacred funds donated by Hindu devotees to build a mall inside the Arunachaleshwara temple premises? It's a question that we must ponder and we must ask ourselves. How can a state government run by major members of the India alliance be in the business of religion if they all swear by the principle of separation of religion and state, viewers? That's the defining principle of secularism.